In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the three noun modifiers that we encounter in language. These three are adjectives, demonstratives, and participles. Now, I group all three of these together. All three are technically forms of adjectives, but they're going to be different words in Hebrew, different formations, and so I wanted to call attention to each separately. But they all are common in that they modify nouns. So, if we have the noun book in English, there are three different types of word that we could put here to modify book. First is just a normal adjective. Big. We'd say that's a big book. The next one, a demonstrative, are the words that indicate which book. So this book, this book. A participle is a verbal adjective, and I'm going to talk about all three of these more in a bit, but just to introduce them to you now. A participle is a verbal adjective, so it takes a verb and turns it into an adjective. In English, we typically add ing to a verb or ed. So we might say a writing book. Writing book. A book for writing. So write is the verb, ing, or even a passive, we'll learn about that soon too, a written book. So all of these, as you can see, big book, this book, written book. All three modify book to tell you which book we are talking about. Now, Hebrew has the same three types of words. Dealing primarily now with adjectives. Let's say we have the noun ish, which means man. If we have ish, there are two ways two primary forms of adjectives. These noun modifiers. They are three. There are attributive, predicative, and substantive. Attributive, predicative, and substantive. We do this in English as well. So the way I just demonstrated to you with book, I'm going to demonstrate now with man in Hebrew. So let's say we wanted to say a good man. In English, we say good man first. Hebrew, it actually comes after, much like many other languages, such as Spanish. So, ish tov. I hope that shows up on the video, if you can see over this far. Ish tov. So literally, man, good. But we can also say, a man is good, or the man is good, either way. And it typically comes over here. Tov, ish. Good man, but in English we would translate it, the man is good, or a man is good in this example. So, and then a substantive is when we have just the adjective by itself. And in that case, we have either it functioning as the good one. We might supply the English word one, a good one, filling in one for the lack of a noun. It's when there's no noun to which this adjective is connected. A good one, or we might even talk about abstract nouns, good. Good versus evil. So I know it's hard to wrap your mind around all this, but try to stay with me as best as you can. So these three types of adjectives: attributive, predicative, and substantive. So going back to the noun ish. So the way you identify that an adjective is functioning as an attributive, there are three rules. First of all, the adjective will agree with the noun in gender and number. So remember that words in Hebrew have gender, masculine or feminine. There is no neuter in Hebrew. So we either masculine or feminine, and then either singular or plural. So an attributive adjective, a good man, that example, a good man. A good man is hard to find to make up a sentence for you. In that example, so it will agree in gender and number and indefiniteness, that's the second rule. So attributive. Gender and number. I'll do it this way. Agree. Gender and number. So the A here, there's going to be a series of A's. And indefiniteness. Pardon my mistakes here. And indefiniteness, gender, number, and definiteness. So if it's a definite noun, it will be a definite adjective. And it comes after. Attributive, A, it agrees in gender, number, definiteness, and it comes after. So that means if you have an adjective before, it is not attributive. All right, the second type, so again, these are the primary rules, and then the third one, we'll come back to that. So these are the primary rules, agrees in gender, number, and indefiniteness, and comes after. All right, the second type is called a predicative. So this one will also agree in gender and number. It will agree in gender and number. It will never be definite. And it typically comes before. It typically comes before. It can come after, though. So these are the rules for predicative. The rule for substantive, the third type, is simply, it's an adjective, no noun. An adjective with no noun. So you won't have a noun here, you just have the adjective by itself. So now I want to demonstrate this in action. So attributive. Let's say we have Ha-ish, the man. And let's say we want to do attributive, the good man, in English. So the rules. Gender and number, so it's going to be singular and masculine. Tov means good, and so it will just stay like this. We won't add any ending for one of the other forms. Gender and number, now it's agreed. It has to be definite, so this has to become Ha-tov. Ha-ish, ha-tov. The man, the good, but in English we would translate it, the good man, and then it would have a verb. That's attributive. Predicative typically comes before, agrees in gender and number, so masculine, singular still, but it's never definite. So no definite article here. So tov, ha-ish, good, the man, but this creates what we've learned previously as a verbless clause. And we would translate it in English, the man is good. And that's predicative. And finally, again with substantive, we might just have ha-tov, and we would translate it the good, or the good one, depending on context. I know it's a lot to wrap your mind around. We'll hit on this again in the next few videos. in particular as we deal with participles. So for now, just try to wrap your mind around the three types, those rules that go along with identifying them, and even just what an adjective is.